Texans running back Arian Foster appeared on the Macrodosing podcast and dropped an absolute bomb. He claimed the NFL was scripted and that players receive actual scripts at training camp every year. Now, Foster was clearly joking, his tone dripping with sarcasm thick enough to spread on toast. But the internet? The internet doesn't do nuance. Within hours, NFL players were jumping on the joke like it was a fumble in the red zone. Micah Parsons tweeted about showing his playoff script. Robert Griffin III posted screenshots of his 2012 script. Alvin Kamara complained about his season storyline. Even Emmanuel Acho joked about reading that he'd get cut 5 times by age 25. The tweet that really sold it? A Lions player posting me a lion after reading our 2008 script, with a gif of someone looking absolutely devastated. The joke became so massive that people started genuinely believing it. And you know what's wild? Some of the moments in NFL history are so perfect, so cinematically timed, that you can't blame them. But before we get into the Chiefs and Taylor Swift, because, we're getting there, let's talk about the moment that made even the most skeptical fans raise an eyebrow. Super Bowl 25, 1991. The underdog New York Giants versus the heavily favored Buffalo Bills. The game comes down to literally the final second. Buffalo kicker Scott Norwood lines up for a 47-yard field goal that would win the game. He kicks it. It sails, it drifts, it goes wide, right? The Giants win by a single point. The drama was so perfectly timed, so Hollywood-esque, that it became one of the most watched Super Bowls in history at that point. Critics immediately started whispering, was it too perfect? Now, Norwood's kick going wide probably wasn't part of some grand conspiracy, but it set a precedent. The NFL realized that dramatic finishes print money. And suddenly, the league had a lot of dramatic finishes. Speaking of dramatic finishes and convenient narratives, let's fast forward to a tragedy that shook America to its core. September 11th, 2001. The attacks on the Twin Towers devastated New York, and the entire nation needed something, anything, to rally around. Enter the New England Patriots, a team that had never won a Super Bowl, suddenly going on an improbable run. Tom Brady, a 6th-round backup quarterback nobody had heard of, takes over after Drew Bledsoe gets injured. The Patriots start winning. And winning. And winning. They make the Super Bowl. They win it. In the most American storyline possible, the team literally called the Patriots becomes a dynasty in the aftermath of the worst terrorist attack on American soil. Coincidence? Probably. Convenient? Absolutely. And conspiracy theorists have never let it go. They argue the NFL needed a patriotic narrative to heal the country and boost ratings, and whether you believe that or not, you have to admit, the timing was suspiciously perfect. But if you think that's wild, wait until you hear about the Saints. Hurricane Katrina absolutely decimated New Orleans in 2005. The city was underwater, lives were shattered, and the Superdome, the Saints' home stadium, became a refugee shelter. Fast forward to 2010, and somehow miraculously the New Orleans Saints are Super Bowl champions for the first time in franchise history. The feel-good story wrote itself. A devastated city, a team that had never won, a quarterback in Drew Brees who became a local hero. It was the perfect redemption arc, and conspiracy theorists immediately pointed out that the NFL desperately needed positive PR and a heartwarming narrative. Some even claim the league rigged the NFC Championship game against the Vikings, pointing to quarterback Peyton Manning's unusually poor performance in that game. As evidence, he was told to throw it. Manning threw an interception in the fourth quarter that basically handed the game to New Orleans. Now, was Manning, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, actually in on some grand conspiracy? Probably not. But did the NFL benefit massively from the Saints winning? Oh, absolutely. Now, here's where things get really interesting, and by interesting, I mean infuriating for anyone who values the integrity of sports. The 2002 AFC Divisional Round, Patriots versus Raiders, the Tuck Rule game. Tom Brady drops back, gets hit, the ball comes loose. Raiders recover. It's a fumble. Game over. Raiders win. Except, plot twist, The refs call it an incomplete pass because Brady's arm was allegedly moving forward. The problem? Brady's arm absolutely was not moving forward. Every camera angle showed it. It was a fumble. But the refs invoked the obscure tuck rule and gave the ball back to New England. The Patriots went on to kick a game-winning field goal and eventually win the Super Bowl. That Super Bowl victory launched the entire Patriots dynasty. One of the most controversial calls in NFL history directly led to 20 years of dominance. And Raiders fans have never, ever gotten over it. Can you blame them? The call was so bad that the NFL actually changed the rule years later. But the damage was done. The dynasty was born. And conspiracy theorists had ammunition for decades. Let's talk about Super Bowl 40 because this one is so blatant that even the referee apologized. Seahawks versus Steelers, 2006. Bleacher Report literally calls it an urban legend of how notorious the officiating was. The calls were so one-sided, so obviously favoring Pittsburgh, that it looked like the refs had money on the game. Seahawks quarterback Matt Hasselbeck got called for a block below the waist while trying to make a tackle after throwing an interception on the opposite team's player. Tight end Jeremy Stevens had a touchdown called back on a phantom offensive pass interference. Wide receiver Darrell Jackson also had a touchdown wiped out for a questionable penalty. The Steelers won, and years later, referee Bill Levy actually came out and said he loses sleep over the calls he missed in that game. He apologized to the Seahawks. But did that change the outcome? Did Seattle get their Super Bowl? Nope. Pittsburgh keeps their ring, and Seahawks fans keep their therapy bills. But nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to the modern era of scripting allegations. Enter the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, and the billion-dollar curveball nobody saw coming, Taylor Swift. When Swift started dating tight end Travis Kelce in September 2023, the NFL hit the jackpot without even buying a lottery ticket. Her first appearance at a Chiefs game made it the most-watched telecast of the week. Viewership among teenage girls jumped 53%. Kelce's jersey sales spiked 400%. The NFL's social media accounts posted about Swift 34 times in the days following her first appearance, generating 170 million impressions. And then the Chiefs just kept winning. And winning. They made the Super Bowl. Swift attended. The game drew a record 123.7 million viewers. Marketing experts estimated Swift's presence generated over $1 billion in brand value for the NFL across 2 seasons. $1 billion, with a B. So when the Chiefs kept pulling out miraculous fourth-quarter victories, when questionable calls kept going their way, when they made 3 straight Super Bowls for the first time in NFL history, people noticed. The 2024 season was when the conspiracy theories went nuclear. Week after week, the Chiefs would be losing or tied, and then magically pull out a 1-score win in the final minutes. Against the Ravens in the AFC Championship, there were multiple head-scratching moments. A fumble where forward progress mysteriously wasn't called, giving Kansas City the ball. A jump ball where both players had hands on it. But the Chiefs got the call. The team's defensive tackle, Chris Jones, was literally caught on camera, looking defeated and distraught before forward progress wasn't awarded. And they got possession. The Chiefs won. They went to another Super Bowl, and 48% of teenagers surveyed said they believed the NFL playoffs were rigged. That's not a fringe conspiracy anymore. That's half of an entire generation losing faith in the league's integrity. Even a UTEP finance professor conducted an actual academic study examining referee bias toward the Chiefs from 2015 to 2023. The results? Let's just say they didn't help the NFL's case. Then came Super Bowl 57 and the moment that really made people lose their minds. Chiefs versus Eagles. The game is tied at 35 points with under 2 minutes left. The Eagles force an incomplete pass on 3rd down. Kansas City will have to kick a field goal and risk overtime. Except Eagles cornerback James Bradberry gets called for defensive holding. The flag comes out after Patrick Mahomes is seen on camera, jumping up and down, screaming at the refs, pointing at Bradberry. The call moves the ball to the 10-yard line. Kansas City runs down the clock and kicks the game-winning field goal. The game, which had been surprisingly physical with the refs swallowing their whistles all night, came down to a ticky-tack holding call that most refs would never make in that situation. Even Bradbury admitted after the game that he held. But the timing, the circumstances, the fact that it decided a Super Bowl? People were convinced it was scripted. The hashtag NFL is scripted trended on Twitter. Sports media exploded, and the NFL Referees Association actually had to release a statement, calling the conspiracy theories insulting and preposterous, and saying it's impossible for 138 officials across 17 crews to all be colluding. But here's the thing, they wouldn't all need to be in on it. You just need a few calls here and there, a holding penalty, a missed pass interference, a conveniently placed flag. That's it. Now, if you guys like this video, click on the screen for more.